Hallo, hallo, hallo. So, können wir uns jetzt wieder hören? Scott, ich gucke mal auf dich.
Yeah, I can hear you
Scott, I'm
now.
looking at you. So I was talking to you in German. so,
Yeah,
so
I
now,
understand a
okay,
bit.
we solved the issue. Thank you so much for your presentation. I already said that it's very impressive to see what the development in the field of autonomous driving is happening in China. We will have now the panel discussion for the audience. You already see we're sitting here now in our round. We have a lot of people here to share our opinion, to give a comment on that. And you see in the middle of us, we have here Tina Klüver, which I would like to introduce shortly. We are very interested to hear what you do, but let me just for the audience, Tina Klüver is recently started or joined the project, the new project of Science and Startups, which is a program together with the Berlin University Alliance together to manage a AI project for the academic startups here in Berlin. We will hear a bit more. Before, she was working as a researcher in the field of AI for more than 10 years. She was co-founder of her own AI startup called Parlamind, as well as a board member of the KI Bundesverband, the AI Association of Germany. So I think we have a very competent partner here to sit here in the panel. After this, I will introduce one more person, but I would like to, before I hear, Tina, from your side, a bit more about your project, I would like to ask you one question. Like, if you would have such a Neolix mobile card here cruising around, what would you put in?
Hey, yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here today. Yeah, that was quite impressive. I very much like the presentation, Scott. Thanks a lot. And
Thank
all
you.
the others as well. So what would I like to have? I'm a vegetarian, so I would love to have all those fancy breakfast stuff, including avocados and things. So that would be great to have. But I'm pretty sure whatever the offer would be, it would be a success here too. So I like that very much. And I think there's a big potential in that area of autonomous driving that is not B2C, like for the personal use of your own car, but more on the B2B field. So there I see a big potential, and that's just one of the use cases you have shown, and there are so many others. And I think there's many things to expect in that field of autonomous driving. Yeah, I would love to have that here in Berlin too, actually, the cars. Yeah.
So Scott, you have to come here. Okay, could you tell us a bit more about your AI project in general, the Science and Startups?
Sure. So we have recently launched a new accelerator that should help and support startups and potential founders and founder teams from the universities, the Berlin universities, to help them to grow and to help them to be successful. Because what we've seen here is basically we have a lot of good research at the universities. We have actually a whole lab focusing on autonomous driving as well in Berlin. And there's many more things that we do regarding artificial intelligence. And still there's a certain, I would say, a certain level of lag that we have to transfer that into companies, into dissemination in the economics. And that's something that we focus on. So we would like to bring all the great stuff that we have in research here. We want to bring it into companies. We want to found startups with those new and great ideas, because we know that there's a lot of potential for disruptive companies and disruptive business models in there. And we want to bring that into economics. So if you're a startup focusing on artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence for whatever business domain, and you're looking for an accelerator, you're looking for something, people that help you to bring that to the market, to help you to grow, then please feel free to contact us. Science and Startups is the name, and our new AI project will start a new batch of the acceleration in Q2 next year.
Exciting, so much support here for the startups. Great to hear that. So maybe also for the audience, that you're basically based here in the Merantix in the AI campus. So you will see these two persons on the right from your screens. They see each other quite often. So then we have one more person here to bring into the large panel. We have here Grace Che. She is working for Humboldt-Tech, which is part of the Continental Group. She's based in China now, and she is the innovation manager. So she is, to put in very simple words, scouting for innovation and for startups. And she also brings many years of experience working previously with European or Western automotive companies. So Grace, welcome. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Can you tell us a bit more
Good
about?
morning, I think.
Yeah. Here's good morning. Yeah, looking forward to the lunch soonish. Yeah. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do with Humboldt-Tech China as an innovation manager?
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me well and also watch me.
Yeah, everything works.
Okay, that's great. So I joined Continental 2 years ago and responsible for China innovation projects. And in the past 2 years, we mainly focused on the new technologies and especially for the startups who owns the new technologies. And NeoLex, I think your project is really amazing, and I see a lot of interesting point for your autonomous driving food car, let's say. And as an industry company or manufacturing company, when we consider AI, we more consider about how to use AI technology in our production line. And we are a part supplier for the whole machine. And we would like to also enable our customer or the manufacturer of the machine be more intelligent in their different scenarios. For example, we are working on the innovation projects using AI technology in the wind power machine. And in wind power machine, you understand that it is running far away from the city, far away from the downtown. So it's always a challenge for them to deliver the quick service and also, let's say, the proved service. And then it enabled a big demand from the market that could you please let your part intelligent enough so that before it is broken, can you give me some warnings and some signals to let me prepare for the breakdown so that can reduce the cost. So a lot of demand and the challenges we see from the market, they would like to make the whole system intelligent enough, so that also challenges the part supplier like us. And looking to the automotive industry, we are looking for the L4 and L5 autonomous driving level. But at this moment, we see the challenges, and we also believe it is a big opportunity for the company like Continental. We have a great technology in ADAS system, and we would like to also continue this strength, so that we also proactively look into the market to see that maybe there is a startup like NeoLex or other startup company, they own their patent technology that can also empower our ADAS system more intelligent and to be the let's say, the leading technology in the autonomous automotive industry. So I think it's a really interesting topic, a lot of interesting topic today, and I'm looking forward to listening more insights from your side.
Yeah. Okay, we will come back on, especially on solving the industry challenges and what you're looking for the startups. So now we have our group together. We have Rasmus Rothe, we have Tina Klüver, we have Thomas Strottner, Scott Zhang, Grace Che, and then I think Zhao, Chelsea is also connected, yeah? There. So that's quite a large panel. So maybe first, I would like to see now here in this round, are there any comments or questions to the startups you would like to comment, Neolix or Brighter AI? If you want.
Yeah, both great presentations. I think, I mean, for Brighter, I think there's a lot of interesting use cases. And I mean, we discussed it quickly earlier. I mean, you know, autonomous driving is an obvious one, but there's also interesting application in the medical space and probably many other industries. So I think it's great to see how it's been developing and how it's also, I guess, easier for people to just plug it into their solution. I think things get much more modularized, and so even though you might develop a medical application, there's no point of you doing everything yourself. So if you can build upon Brighter from a technology perspective, plug that into your solution, and also thereby they make sure that it's all GDPR compliant. That's like a great value add also for other companies. So I think everything is getting much more plug and play, which is great. And then for Neolix, also super impressive. I think, as Tina said, the whole kind of like logistics and B2B space is super interesting. And yeah, I think we would love to have one of your robots around the AI campus here in Berlin. So maybe we should think later. Because there's certainly one issue on the area. There are not that many restaurants here yet, so we're getting actually a food robot very soon that is preparing around 100 meals an hour with a few robotic arms. So maybe anything that robot can't prepare, we can work with you, Scott, and bring some nice food here. So yeah, would love to connect on this after the panel.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, actually, you can even put the robotic arm on our car as well if you want.
Yeah, so even combine it.
Yeah.
My bet would be to put a kebab place in it, find a robot to put kebab, because maybe for the Chinese, like, kebab is very famous for Berlin. So I think everyone eats that. I also think that what I personally like about this, because you develop a technology which is very valuable for countries with high labor costs. And this is definitely Germany or Europe. Yeah, so that's great. Then maybe I would like to look at you, Thomas, because we are talking about industry challenges. When developing your solution, what was the most challenging part of your startup to get your product on the way? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's really about getting the acceptance in the market, because the product that we have is so disruptive and so new, because people know like pixelating faces, and then why would you use synthetic replacements? So for us, it was a lot of explaining in the beginning, having POCs with companies, actually finding the first use cases where there's really a fit. So I think that was the kickstart and the beginning. And now it's more about scaling it, because companies understand the value. And companies understand the benefits and the pricing and everything. So now it's really about scaling the solution to different use cases, different companies, different countries as well.
Yeah, that's great. I think acceptance is something Scott also mentioned. We already have seen a picture how this is accepted in China. Scott, can you tell us a bit more about your first step experience, like when you put first time? At the end of the day, you put a machine with the AI on the road and tell the people, please don't buy anything from a human, but buy from a machine. I mean, you could say that's could be a bit spooky, it's one of these futuristic thoughts. But how did the people react on the first time? And how's it?
Yeah, it was a very interesting story, actually. I would also like to share, because last year we started our project. Day one was 28th of June last year. So we were really optimistic that time. We called our CEO, our CIO, all of our O's there to see us how our project will run. So we prepared. Actually, the first day we only had one cart outside, and we prepared around 40 breakfasts, and we stood there for half an hour, but no one bought it. Everyone just looked, and then they will think about it and then go away. So it was really embarrassing because we got all our leaders there. And, we want to show them how this will work, but actually it didn't work. So it was so embarrassing. We tried to every method to navigate people. So we didn't directly say, please buy a car, please buy a breakfast in our autonomous driving car. We only tell them by a hint. Whenever they get out from the subway station, we speak to them to say, oh, there's a car in front. They're driving autonomously and they are selling breakfast. So they will be interested. And when they see the car, they stood there, they looked, and they tried to scan. So for the first 2 or 3 days, we had one employee of ours just to stand beside the car to tell them how to use it, how to scan the QR code, and how to purchase it and purchase your breakfast, which is actually another labor cost. So it went for less than 1 week, and then it was, I think the 4th day or the 5th day, it was raining really badly. It was really raining badly, and because it was still at the first stage, so every one of us just stood beside, and we were really pessimistic that day because we thought the weather is too bad and there are not many people will buy our stuff. But actually, from the 4th day on, people walk by and they don't ask anything and they do nothing. They just go through, they just come by and then scan the code. And after 5 seconds, they take their breakfast and then go away. And I think within 1 hour, we sold out all our breakfast. And then we started add more inventory every day, add more. And then we started from selling 30 orders per day to 200 per day. Just, I think what really surprised me, because for day one, we thought we can do very well, but actually we didn't sell. We only sell 1 or 2 orders. And on day 4, when we thought we can only sell less than 10 orders, we sold out 30 orders very quickly. So first, we were too optimistic about how people will react when they see our car at first sight. And then the other thing is we were too pessimistic of how fast people will get used to buying stuff from our cars. So that was a really interesting story, and it happened everywhere. It happened in Shanghai, and then it happened in Beijing and everywhere. People at first, they hesitate, the second day they hesitate, and third day, people start lining up and buying our stuff. It was really a fun experience for me and a surprising experience.
Yeah, it's probably the same what also Thomas said, that it's about the acceptance of the new technology, which is probably also a challenge for most of them. Yeah, when there's something coming very new. Maybe I can direct this question more towards Grace now. You are looking into like precisely finding startups and new technologies. So it's quite interesting from my point of view that we have here now a larger corporate seeking to solve industry challenges and basically look for startups who already solved that and then work together with them. Could you tell us a bit more about the industry challenges you really want to tackle? Do you have some examples?
As I said before, actually, we are not only focused on the automotive industry, but also the other rest of the manufacturing industry. And I just said that, for example, the wind power machine, but actually we also have business in the oil and gas. And we recently defined the food chain processing as one of our growth fields. And inside the food chain processing industry, we know that the food is produced, and how to, as much as possible, to maintain the fresh as much as possible is a challenge. And I think maybe this is also for Scott. We consider the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner. Our unique selling point is that we can, as much as possible, to keep it as fresh as possible. So also considering in the food chain processing, they are currently delivering the whole, let's say, finished good in the, let's say, the truck or the other big machines. But if we can deliver door-to-door service, for example, there is small factory around, there is a small factory that can located in, let's say, the area of apartments, so that we can deliver routinely, regularly to the, let's say, the residents over there. And for example, the milk, the breakfast, we don't need to even take it in the subway station, but as soon as I live in my home, I already have breakfast in my hand, and that is hot and fresh. I think that is also another opportunities we can see. And but regarding the Neolix product, I still see that there is a big challenge. For example, in China, we have Ele.me, Meituan, the delivery service is quite good, right? And it just take 30 minutes to get the food, which is produced by any restaurant around my apartment. So how to compete with this delivery service, maybe for some people who is scared or don't want to interact with people, I think your service or your solution could be a big advantage. But at this moment, I think more and more people, due to COVID-19 issue, more and more people would like to say hello to someone else and have some human interactions. I think that could be another, let's say, balance or the challenges for your service. And I just mentioned that in our industry, we have a lot of challenges, but we always coming from the pain point from our end user, especially for the breakdown cost, which is huge, right? Starting from that, and we collect all the information through sensors, through the images that can help our customer to identify the failure mode, and then with AI technology, then we can come up with the predictive maintenance solutions. I think that is the thing I would like to share with you. And yeah, maybe go back to Scott. I think that is quite a frequent a question to you, how to compete with the delivery service we have in China.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Yeah, it's true. It's a question we always being asked by everyone, actually. But actually, for example, taking breakfast as an example, we never compete with the delivery service, because people don't so often buy delivery service for breakfast. And for lunch, we have surveys. We have surveys once, twice, I think already 4 times, about how often do people eat? Do they eat in canteens? Do they take deliveries? Or do they go outside to some street restaurants? And actually, I think our result was more than 50% of our share, our own orders came from people who like to eat canteens. So we are actually offering another choice for everyone. So that's what we are saying as a delivery service. So for delivery service, you can actually offer 100 choices to a person who wants to have lunch, instead of having same thing every day in canteen. And we are doing the same, but actually we cannot offer 100 choices. We can only offer 4 choices or 8 choices, 10 choices. But we found out it doesn't matter that much, because even when you have 100 choices from the delivery, but most people will always choose the top 10 or top 5. So what we are doing is we only provide the top 5 or top 10. So we take some shares from people who like to eat in canteens, but they don't really have other choices. And then we take part of the shares for people who like to eat from deliveries, who like to have more choices, but who don't want to wait for another 30 minutes. Because sometimes you think 30 minutes is only half an hour, you can wait for it. But when you can buy something that is your choice within 15 minutes, with 15 seconds, you will love it. So that's why I think we take shares from these two canteens and also delivery service. So that's how we live, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I think that's quite interesting. So we already know that if you come to Germany, you definitely have to put some veggies in.
Sure. We already
to
have
make people happy here. Yeah, I would like to also looking now at Chelsea, representing the Sanjiang Group. I think it's. Do you know? Have you ever bought something from this shopping cart? Have you already tried it, Chelsea?
Yeah, I tried it once. It was very convenient.
Oh, very
And
good.
also like the food is quite tasty.
Yeah.
I think I think their company like knows the customers' demand quite well. Must have done like lots of market research.
Yeah, we already talked a bit about like there's different culture, different markets, and in your area you're working a lot with not only with Chinese startups or Chinese companies, but also with Europeans and Germans. And do you see any like a difference in approaching the challenges to move on with the topic a bit? Do you see a difference, like how do Chinese startups approach a problem, approach a challenge compared to European, probably more conservative from your perspective?
I think like in China, because based on my past experience in cooperation with startups, and Chinese startups, they have closer relationship with us and with the government. So sometimes if they have facing some challenges from in their own industry, they come to us like to work together to seek any solutions. Whereas like for European companies, maybe like due to your society is more individualism. So like maybe like so when European companies face some challenge, like they don't come to us directly, like they don't come to like our government directly, but maybe they just try to solve the challenge themselves first. I witnessed this difference between Chinese companies and European companies. And also I think maybe that's the difference of like different ways of thinking, like the Eastern and Western companies approach to solve problems in different ways and in different approaches. That's why like we handle things in differently.
Okay, so there's definitely different mindset and approach. Yeah. I think
Mm-hmm.
that this based on the cultural dimension. Thomas, I think you already said that you have projects with China as well. Do you have experience with that? Like how do they look at your startup and then compare it maybe to a German?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting also to see the big companies. So we work with a Chinese OEM now, and they're very execution driven, very hands-on. And I think also to defend the German automotive industry, there's the biggest transformation that the industry has ever seen. And I think the companies are really trying. So I think if you look at Volkswagen and these big companies, they're really changing because there's not only autonomous driving, there's also electrification. So these companies have a lot of different challenges. So I would defend them in that way. And I think they're making a lot of progress with electric vehicles, with autonomous driving. But when it comes to the cooperation, like working with a German OEM, for instance, or working with a Chinese company, a large Chinese company, I have the impression that there's more execution focus, more pragmatism, more speed in execution. And that's something that I'm observing from the client conversations that we have.
Yeah, that's also what we always hear, that at least from the competition point of view, over there it's more fierce, yeah, and they're more streamlined. And maybe now looking at you, Tina, we have seen that this example of Neolix now, they are quite far in their development. It's already on the street. Nevertheless, when we look at the research on autonomous driving and AI related, then Germany is actually quite on the top. Actually, I looked at a Nature Index even ahead of China. So that means we have all the knowledge and the competences and the research projects here. Yet we don't see it on the street. And now also making the bridge that China said we want to have 60%, or I don't have the clear number, but they have a very ambitious goal to have a large number of cars on the road within the next 10 years, which are already to a certain level in autonomous driving cars. So the question now is maybe, are we not setting ambitious goals for us, because you're also representing the KI Bundesverband? Are the goals, the objectives we have not ambitious enough to give the scientists a clear target, saying like, we have to achieve this target in this year here in Germany?
Yeah, well, I think you actually got the point in one of the first sentences already. And as I already said in the beginning, so we have a lack of transfer. We have quite good research, but it's not always easy in Europe and in Germany especially to bring that into a commercial dissemination. So that's actually a big issue, and I think we can do a lot better. But for example, in this case, I'm actually not totally sure if that would if we in Germany would actually be able to have those nice food carts running around autonomously here. I mean, Erasmus, I would love to have them here at the campus, but I'm actually not sure if we are allowed to have them on the streets, right? I mean, in Germany, it's not like you can go with an autonomous car wherever you want. It's just not allowed. We have a very strict policy about what's doable and what's not. And we have certain, of course, we all know there are certain levels of autonomous driving, and there is a possibility to to adapt to certain level 1, level 2, I think, but everything else is, as far as I know, not allowed on the public streets. So I think that's actually one of the, from my perspective, and also from what we always aim for from the German Association of Artificial Intelligence, it's one of the things that makes it really hard to bring research into startups, into really like the economical dissemination of that, because there's so much regulation that you have to take into consideration, and it really takes a while to get there.
Yeah, maybe to add that, and also what Tina said and what Chelsea said earlier, I think like one of, I guess, the advantages in China is that there's like closer collaboration between the government and companies, and that has been for many like previous generations of like tech companies not so important, but is particularly important for AI, because you end up being introducing critical decision making, whether it's driving in the street, whether it's like critical decision making in the healthcare space. And obviously these spaces are regulated, or there's some regulations anywhere in the world, and these regulations need to be adapted, need to be changed. There need to be like kind of playgrounds where you can try out new things. And there we just see, especially in Europe, that the regulators moving very slow and very reactive, and so that creates a lot of uncertainty for the companies, both in terms of fundraising, but also in terms of even customers adopting their solutions. So we need to move kind of basically the policymakers and the tech companies close together. And that's also like one of the reasons, or one of the things we try here on the AI campus, and kind of bringing people from the regulator in here and seeing, okay, you know, here are 10 concrete companies working on AI applications. These are their challenges with regards to data privacy, with regards to liability of AI solutions, to then quickly be able to adopt those. So I think that's super important. And then on the second point, with regards to research transfer, I think, I mean, like one thing what you said, Lars, is like setting goals, but like honestly, people need to set them goals themselves. Like if you tell entrepreneurs, hey, here, your goal should be 10x larger, that's nice. But like if the entrepreneur is not driven themselves to kind of, you know, go with a crazy big vision and think big and like work really hard, then you will never get that person there, because the journey is too painful for that. So you need to kind of spark this intrinsic motivation. I think we're just still too comfortable, because we still have, you know, our DAX 30 companies, our car manufacturers that are here and they're doing stuff, and like many other large companies. And you know, also seeing now with Neolix and like, you know, how things are happening in China, in the US, we need to just move much faster here. And I think, yeah, we don't have that much time left. So we need to encourage much more just entrepreneurs building companies and thinking big. And that probably starts very early in university already, or probably even earlier. So it's fostering. Let me go very quickly back to this regulatory topic. I just there's a quite interesting article on Nikkei Asia about autonomous driving in China. There's a famous person, lawyer, Mark Schaub, and he basically stated that if you in China, if you follow the regulations, then you basically are 6 months behind. So what you need to do is you need to be always ahead. And it seems also that the law gives a bit more freedom to play around. Maybe it is not immediately approved. And now comes this disclaimer for don't do this at home. But is this an option for us or for our ecosystem here in Germany, that we say we give these highly innovative startups a more space and a free regulatory space, that we say? I mean, like they're the concept, they're all over the AI strategy. The word of sandbox, like, you know, it's probably mentioned like 100,000 times. Now, when you want to build an application, you're like, hey, I want to use the sandbox. Like, it's unclear who to call. It's like very simple problem, right? Like I want to call somebody and be like, okay, now how can I employ the sandbox? And you end up calling like 10 different people and they all refer you to somebody else. And at some point you become circular and realize, okay, I'm not going to get anywhere. So there's like no ownership on kind of on the government or regulator side. That's very frustrating. Plus you have kind of, I guess, like, you know, the municipality level, and then you have the federal level. And so there's just no ownership on the other side of somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to drive this. And I can also have the decision power, because one of the challenges is that for like healthcare, a lot of the regulation is in the Ministry of Justice, is in the health ministry, some is with the economic affairs. So you end up going between these different ministries and then some other certification agencies. And there's not just like a single point of contact that can make a decision. And that's frustrating. So I think hopefully with the next government, some of these things are pulled more together. So you can actually have this point of contact that makes a decision. So we are on the way. Yeah. Okay. Then also, I would like to use this chance here of that was not meant to. We just wanted to give you a short break to digest the information. I would also like to use this chance to on both sides, maybe to to give the China side the chance to talk to the German startups. Maybe looking at Chelsea. Would you have any recommendation, like for if we have now startups in the AI field, autonomous driving, and they're seeking to explore China? Is there any way you can give a recommendation, like at what stage should they come to China? How can you help them, and what do they find in your spot?
So first I talk about market. I think like in Europe, it has more innovative environment, very encouraging new technologies and talents. to cultivate. And for China, we are more open to new technologies. And here in China, it's a very potential large market for AI products. And here also venture capitals are very open-minded for new startups. And we also open, especially like government, are very cooperative in opening application scenarios, as well as welcome foreign high-tech talents to come to China. Also the government and us offer financial support to help science-based startups to grow here. I'll give you an example. TMI Technology is a robotics company doing manufacturing intelligent disinfection robot. And so during the COVID period, during the global pandemic, its product have been largely used in many hospitals in Shanghai as well as in China. So Shanghai government and our company, Shanghai Group, help TMI Technology to reach their clients, to enter these hospitals and to open application scenarios for them. We also, our company also joined their funding stage to invest on this company. We also, because we have a subsidiary doing investment on good projects. Besides, now it's we also offer tutorials to this company because this company wants to go public in Shanghai store market. We also offer tutorials and to stimulate their relationship with the government. I think talking about startups doing business in China, I think the most important part is that we think differently. We have different ways of thinking. For example, like for European startups, they have, when they consider to join the Chinese market, they usually have mature products. Then they consider to join the Chinese market instead of just basically have an idea. But for Chinese startups, maybe they just have an idea and they come to us and they talk to us to invest on them. And our government and our company are very supportive and open-minded to help them to form into a business and to grow bigger. And I think like here in China, both government and capitals are very open-minded. So here in China, there are abundant new technologies, not in the AI field. And also, like as I mentioned before, we offer capital market application scenarios. So I think it's a very supportive environment for science-based startups to grow and expand their business here. And talking about how to commercialize their products in China, I think European startups need to understand the Chinese market, whether your product can be used in every Chinese people's daily life, and to target your customers' needs. I think it's very important.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we just have here one German startup which is on a very European privacy protection domain, very successful in globally and in China. Maybe I can also ask you, like from your personal perspective, could you give the startups out here an advice when they approach China? Like at what stage or how?
So I just wanted to say one thing about the financing aspect, because I think it's very interesting that you say you can come with an idea and get funding. I think in Germany, especially also the VC scene is very much focused on revenues and showing like short-term revenues and how to scale that. I think if you want to, or you come with a product that is superior, like that's much better than anything else, and you can show that we can create category leaders, also without maybe the traction in the beginning, but initial proof points, is very hard to raise. So I think revenue is still a key driver, and that's something that I found interesting from what you say. Maybe a different mindset. Also, when you look at the US, there are a lot of companies that get funding, for example, with an open source strategy at the beginning, not having a lot of revenue, but getting a lot of traction, building out the product, and then afterwards having like a roadmap to actually commercialize. I think that's a difference in terms of funding and financing. And then regarding your question, how to engage here. So you mean engaging with Chinese companies is what you said, right? So, I mean, from our experience, it's mostly Chinese companies collecting data in Europe. And I can say that they take privacy laws very seriously. So for us, it's like companies approach us. So there are not that many hints in that regard. I think then when it comes to the first stages of interacting with the companies, it's important to also consider things like cultural differences, maybe to work with translators as well. So that was something that we experienced that helps a lot in the initial conversation. We actually also had interns from China, which was a big help also regarding the mindset and how to drive these conversations. Because also if you look at purchasing and all these things, there are a lot of like cultural differences. What I already said about more pragmatism, more execution driven, and you really need to understand those company cultures in order also to win a big deal there.
Okay. Good insights. Maybe just asking for a very short answer. Maybe Scott, from your perspective, you have worked with the Zurich ETH Zurich. Do you see it similar like Thomas does, that basically the Chinese are more driven, KPI driven and revenue driven, or what is your experience with working with the Europeans or Swiss or Germans in the project?
Well, I think for our company, it's more like in China, we are really KPI driven, we are result driven. But within Europe, we will really respect the rhythm of everyone else, because especially for the Vodafone Railway program, we will wait until end of this year because we need different approvals. So actually in Europe, when we were cooperating with people in Europe, just like Thomas said, we might be even more serious than local companies, because we do not know what's the edge, what's the maximum or what's the minimum tolerance of everyone. So we would like to be as more serious and more cooperative. But of course, in China, when we know the maximum and we know the minimum of all the tolerance, we will be really KPI driven, really result driven. Because actually, for my own team, everything we do, we call our team operations team, but I think everything we do is an implementation team. We always want to make everything on ground, everything to implement. We always want them to see the results. That's when we know our edge, know how we can do. But when we don't know our boundaries, we will be really serious and really careful, actually.
Okay, so focused, yeah. Now we are reaching very slightly end, but I want to look at my left now. To Tina and Rasmus, are you interested in having more engagement with AI startups from China? Do you seek this contact?
Yeah, so from my point of view, definitely yes. We are already in cooperation with, for example, the German Accelerator Asia. And it's a big, there are many benefits, I think, in both directions. So we would certainly love to have a more, closer work together on certain exchange of ideas and business models, and of course, bringing startups to Asia, and also bringing startups from Asia to Berlin, of course, and to participate in our support programs. And yeah, I think we have already encountered that, and we have the experience that it's very valuable for all the participants to have that cultural exchange and the exchange of knowledge. And we will definitely focus on that. And whenever there's somebody interested in joining that communication, please feel free to contact us.
Yeah, I would just double down on that. So I think in the one direction, very interesting if companies from China want to expand to Europe and need a home, you know, consider coming to the AI campus. That will give you a nice landing ground. So that, I think that's the one direction. The other direction, equally interesting. I think for some of our companies, you know, the Chinese market is very interesting in terms of business development because it's a very large market. You know, as we heard, it's a bit more pragmatic here and there and very technology focused. So yeah, we actually already have some business with some of our companies in China, but actually very little. So we would love to expand that. But both, I think in healthcare, there's a lot of potential in autonomous driving, as we heard today, but also biotech could be very interesting. So yes, very open.
Good. So both ways. That's good. And then my last question or comment goes now to Grace. Do you have any program to offer for startups, or where they can apply, or how can they reach you to actually amaze you about their own solution? Do you have a program?
Yes, actually, we have a program with Humboldt-Tech China, and we are looking for the startups who is advanced in sensorics, predictive maintenance, and industry IoT. So a small advertisement also in here, no matter the startups from Germany or from China, if you are working on the science-based, technology-based on sensorics or industry IoT or predictive maintenance, it is welcomed to join our campaign in China. And if you win the campaign, you have chance to go into the Continental's incubator to work together with Continental Group in 2022. And you can also receive more and more investment opportunities in next year. So for more details, I think Samuel can also help me to spread it out in this group later on, and also welcomed all the startups with great technologies to join us, Continental ecosystem. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so for the audience, like if you have questions, if you want to reach out to Grace, you just send us an email, follow us on LinkedIn, direct message me. We will establish this connection. I think we are now at the end of our time, and I think we had a lot of people here supporting the AI startup ecosystem, autonomous driving ecosystem. We had excellent presentations, very exciting startups and solutions. And I'm really thankful that you all joined, and would like to then wrap up this event, say goodbye, say that reach out to us, apply for the Bridge to China program, apply for the Science and Startup program, get in touch with Merantix, get in touch with Conti-Tech, talk to Sanjiang Group if you need help. Scott, we are really looking forward for your shopping cart here. And Thomas, we are very thankful that if they hopefully if you work with them together, that they develop a shopping cart which is private with good privacy protection, so they will not recognize us. And yeah, then having said that, I would say goodbye and good weekend. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.